everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Michael Ondaway, and I will be your host in today's webinar. This is actually the final webinar in the Securing the Enterprise Cloud series we've had over the last few weeks. And this covers a more general topic of cloud takeover protection, which applies to pretty much every SaaS or infrastructure as a service that you might be using. You can see those previous webinars by going to avanan.com/series. So today's webinar will be presented by Yoav Nathaniel. He is our customer deployment expert who has worked with our product for years and is probably the best person to explain what we do, not only in detail, but at a high level, especially something as ephemeral as cloud takeover protection. So before I turn it over to Yoav, I'd like to explain a little bit about who we are. Avanan is a cloud security platform. Our motto, any cloud, any security, one click, describes what we do. First, we provide one view across all of your SaaS or infrastructure as a service. And we provide a full stack of security from over 60 vendors so that you can build a complete security suite for your cloud and do so from our one-click app store. Our security partners create a full stack of security, anywhere from anti-phishing to antivirus, sandboxing, file sanitization, endpoint compliance, encryption, etc. Now, that should be enough, but what we're going to talk about today is something that actually doesn't fall within that suite, and that is account takeover protection. And this is something that is a much broader and much more concerning security topic. Account takeover is essentially a breach in which someone not in your organization is essentially using your cloud against you. There is no single security tool that provides defense against account takeover protection. What Avanan provides, and why only Avanan can provide it, is full information about all of your cloud. We connect to any of your SaaS or infrastructure as a service tools, and we capture endpoint metadata, user events and history, account configuration. We do file and email analysis using those tools that I described before. We look at permissions and we look at activity, and we analyze API connections or apps that might be connected to your cloud. Using all of this information, we gather together in one place across multiple cloud, across multiple users, and then analyze it in one place. And it's this ability to capture so much information and analyze it in one place that makes it possible to identify and protect against account takeover. So the Avanan dashboard describes malware events, phishing events, DLP events, anomaly events, shadow IT events, coming from multiple tools and across multiple SaaS. But today we're actually going to drill down into primarily the anomaly events. When it comes to account takeover protection, we capture hundreds of different types of data, but we're going to categorize them in essentially 5 different ways. First is client metadata analysis. That is analysis of the end user, software, and everything there is to know about the person or the bot that's connecting. Then there's analysis of the cloud itself, not the files, not the users, but the configuration of your cloud itself, looking for insecure configuration that might lead to a security breach or be the result of a malicious user. Then we start looking at the user activity, those behaviors, those things that a user will actively do, whether it's malicious or accidental, to create an insecure condition. Now, there are different types of user activity. There are those that are known malicious, but then there's also that category of things that are suspicious. And this is where our advanced analysis, machine learning analysis, behavior analysis based upon historical profiles, roles, and so on, that give us information to identify suspicious activity, which would indicate a breach. And then finally, API analysis, looking at those malicious apps, looking at shadow SaaS or other API compromises that are invisible to the user, typically invisible to an admin, can also represent a breach. And so that's from a high level. So what I'd like to do now is turn this over to Yoav, and he'll take it from here. Yoav?
Hey guys, nice to meet you all. My name is Yoav Nathaniel, and as Michael mentioned, I'm an expert in Avanan at customer deployments from the installation up until customer support. So I can answer any of your questions should any come up during the webinar. So let's start with client and user metadata analysis. Avanan doesn't just focus on login events, but rather all activity in the cloud. We receive events whenever someone logs in, uploads the file, shares the file, or even sends an email. All of those events are associated with a device, an endpoint application, or even an IP address that can be translated into geography. From there, we assess whether it's accessing from an unknown device, if it's a new device, or from an insecure browser, if it's outdated, or maybe he's logging in from two places in a short amount of time. So, for example, in this case, we detected someone using Tor to access Ignite, while sometimes we can detect a Superman anomaly where someone is logging into two different SaaS applications from two different parts of the world. We also detect remote desktop login attempts if you're using Azure or AWS. So in this case, we detected an unknown IP that we've never seen before, attempting to brute force into a machine using RDP. That kind of goes into our infrastructure as a service, but it just circles back around the geography and the device information that we get from the event. Next, we also look at insecure or malicious configurations. So this kind of inspects the overall system analysis and what policies are allowed based on your configurations in the cloud. So we assess whether someone is sharing a folder completely publicly, whether it's an S3 bucket, or has a completely open firewall policy that allows attackers to access any ports from any place in the world. We also look if someone has disabled their MFA. That can be a sign that someone has gained access to the account or is trying to access it insecurely. In addition, one of the more popular use cases that we see is the mail flow configuration changes. So someone is adding a forwarding rule or an inbox rule that the users and the admins never typically check, but they have a huge impact on users' everyday workflows. So in this example, we're looking at some inbox rules that we've seen from previous attacks. So for example, a hacker will send an email out, subject, you should read this. So when someone replies back to it, the subject will still contain the words, you should read this. Hence, the hacker wants to see all of the traffic that goes to that. So he'll forward it to avanan@zoho.com. He will not even acknowledge that he has sent the email or that people are replying to it, making it essentially invisible. As you can see, we also see other forwarding rules as well to Mailinator or move it to a different folder within the mailbox that's not the inbox. And the reason for the forwarding rule, especially in this case, is even if you change the user's password and you do whatever you think needs to be done, the hacker will still receive all email traffic that belongs to this condition in the forwarding rule. As you can see within the Avanan dashboard, we present to you that there is a forwarding rule that exists for all emails for a specific user to an external user. We also detect whether it's a private email like a Gmail or a Yahoo account, or if multiple users are all forwarding to the same account. The next topic is malicious activity. So not only should you be wary of attacks coming from external actors, but should also review internal threats. So whether someone is violating a security policy or spreading malware via email or file sharing with his other colleagues or external users, in addition to sending phishing emails internally and outbound. This is especially harmful to the organization, not only because it impacts a whole lot more users, because it goes undetected as it travels internally. But if the email goes outbound, not only does it hurt your partners, but other email providers will see this and they'll lower your domain reputation. Hence, your emails might start moving into the spam from that point on, depending on how severe the situation is. As you can see, we're tracking all the malware and phishing events, regardless if they're internal or external actors. If it is internal, it will also show up as an anomaly event, because that makes that user a lot more suspicious of being compromised or just acting maliciously. As you can see, for example, we also focus on any collaboration requests in all of the SaaS that we've integrated. So if we've seen that someone has never communicated before, I will also alert you on that. Next is the suspicious activity monitoring. Sometimes users will perform stuff that is legitimate, but it does raise a few eyebrows. So, for example, we look at credential behavior. So if someone is logging into multiple SaaS at once, or if someone is changing the passwords of multiple SaaS at once, if he's trying to gain access to your entire cloud. And we don't even have to monitor all of these different SaaS simply because we're monitoring the user's email. So we can see whenever there is a password change request. We're also looking at new relationships. So if there's an unknown sender that has never been communicated before, whether it's a new user or a new domain, we'll alert you on that. In addition to change in email behavior or even in the SaaS behavior. So if someone is encrypting a lot of files at once, deleting them, uploading a lot of files at once, or is sending many emails in a short amount of time. Now, this varies on a per user basis. So if a user typically sends 20 emails an hour on a regular basis, our system will acknowledge that and will alert you when he suddenly sends 400 emails in an hour. So as you can see, we currently don't integrate with QuickBooks.intuit.com, but we still will receive the password reset email and will alert you that we're seeing multiple SaaS being reset almost at the same time. We'll also tell you about any impersonation. So we're seeing an unknown user that has a very similar nickname to Yoav Nathaniel, which is my name. So even though it's a personal iCloud account, the name might be confusing to whoever receives that share. We're also looking at encryption. So if anyone gets ransomware on their desktop and their device is syncing, suddenly all of their files and folders will start encrypting, and that will sync into the cloud. So we'll alert you on that. And in addition, you can automatically stop the sync from Avanan. So that user will be cut off from the cloud and the ransomware will be isolated into his desktop environment. But it does not affect the cloud at that point. We're also acknowledging massive deletion. We've seen an incident where an employee left an organization, and right before they shut down his account, he deleted a bunch of files. So we'll alert you on that as well. And final topic is API app and shadow SaaS. So this kind of goes into the marketplace applications that your users might integrate with. And this is prevalent amongst just about any one of the popular SaaS that Avanan protects, whether it's Google, Office 365, Dropbox, every one of those has a marketplace of additional apps that you can integrate with. So we're looking at cloud and app reputation. Not only are we looking at the marketplace for scores, but we also use third-party reputation engines that rank all these apps and their popularity and how long they've been in the market. In addition, API token harvesting. So sometimes you may not receive a direct phishing attack that attempts to steal the user's password, but rather someone can send your users a link to authorize a legit Microsoft application. That will bypass just about any URL reputation engine because the link itself goes into Microsoft. And it will ask the user to simply agree to several scopes or permissions. When they click accept, the hacker will receive a token. That token can be used for not just sending emails or reading the user's emails, but a whole lot more actions that some of them even require PowerShell. And it gives them a whole lot more power than what the admin can do simply from the user interface. Finally, we have the client-side script. We've seen this in the Google Docs attack that happened last year. Users received an email within Google where they were asked to accept the app called Google Docs, which just so happens to have the same name as the native Google Docs application. And when they authorized it, the hacker didn't really care about tokens so much, but rather it ran a client-side script that will extract all of the user's contracts and send it to a Mailinator account. After that, it immediately deleted the integration, hence it's almost untraceable. And if the admin goes back in later, he doesn't even see that the app was authorized. So it's a very quick attack, it's a very stealthy attack, and Avanan is here to alert you whenever that happens. And now I'll hand it back over to Michael.
Thanks, Yoav. And so, because account takeover protection covers such large ground and involves so many different pieces of data, we kind of ran through them fairly quickly, but they fall into these 5 categories. And I think what I'd like to do now is open up to questions to see if people might have questions of Yoav when it comes to some of the capabilities. And so I guess the first question is, do I need to create all of these rules to find these anomalous events, or do you do that for me?
So all of this works out of the box. There's no configurations on your end to enable any of the anomalies that I've went over here. But the great benefit of the Avanan platform is that should you have any configurations or any anomalies that you would like to track, maybe for compliance purposes, our platform does have that flexibility.
And then I guess another question, not sure if I'm clear about, is this just for Office 365 and Box and Gmail? I heard you mention Amazon. Does that cover my Amazon configuration as well?
Definitely. So every SaaS applications or infrastructure as a service application that Avanan integrates into the platform not only includes malware, DLP, and anti-phishing analysis, but also, most importantly, anomaly behaviors. So you'll definitely receive this with any one of the logos that you see on our website.
Great. And then you kind of explained how you identify these attacks, but do you actually block these attacks? And if you do you do it automatically?
Yes. So something that we didn't go over in the webinar due to the sake of time is not only can you click on a single button to reverse anything that happened, whether someone created a forwarding rule, you can automatically delete it from the platform with a single click. But you can also create automated policies so that if someone creates that forwarding rule in the middle of the night, you don't have to wake up to click on the button, but rather Avanan will take care of it for you. In addition, we can suspend users, revoke user licenses, or take the appropriate action per the anomaly detection.
Another question, and in fact, I might take this one. It actually has to do with kind of other cloud security products. Do the proxy-based protection companies have this account takeover protection as well? And so I think I'll kind of take that on. I think account takeover is the new threat, and I think every product does mention account takeover protection or breach protection as part of the functionality. And they offer that based upon the information they have. So if they are a proxy, it's based upon the visibility they have from that proxy position. If they are an email protection company, it's based upon the emails that they see going by. I think while everyone offers some form of account takeover protection, the real value of the Avanan system is just how much information we capture with its deep integration with both SaaS and infrastructure as a service. And so because of that, we actually have more information and the ability to identify an account takeover event much sooner and react much faster. So I think there are some additional questions, but they are a bit more specific, and we'll definitely follow up with those questions after the call. If you have any additional questions, maybe about pricing, or you'd like to try an account on your own, or get a one-on-one demo, you can do all those things by going to avanan.com/next steps, and there you request any or all of the above. So again, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time this afternoon, and Yoav, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.